Ready, aim, fire.
Welcome to Live with Sensei. I'm your host, Jay Haynes, for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. In this third episode of Season 2, I'm delighted to be hosting my good friend, Uwais Adam from Red Alert. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Hello to everybody else. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking really forward to it.
It is a pleasure. I want to give a few shout outs. Please leave a comment in the chat room so that I can recognize who is in the house. Also, if you have a question for Uwais, please feel free to ask away. But before we begin, I do want to remind everyone about my new Udemy class, the Absolute Beginners course on HitFilm Express. If you would like to learn everything there is to know about the free version of HitFilm Express with absolutely no add-ons, this is the course for you. Even if you're a beginner with totally no experience, you can quickly and easily learn all the powerful features and benefits of this amazing free software. All of the information, as well as the very best price to purchase the course, is on my website, which is jhaynes.com. That's jhaynes.com, and there is a link in the description of this video for those of you who are watching after the fact, and I will post a link in the chat room right now if you are watching live. So let's jump right into our show. Thank you again for being here, Uwais. I'm going to post a link to your YouTube channel, which is called Red Alert, and there is also a link in the description below. When did you start your channel?
Well, you see, I started the channel itself, but not in the form that it is right now. Back in, if you basically go to the About page, you'll see that it was started back in 2014. But back then, I wasn't really posting the content I was right now. So yeah, as you can see there, it says somewhere there, 2014, May 14.
May 14th, 2014. There it is.
Yeah. So back then, I wasn't really doing the content I am doing now. I was just sort of feeling it out. And but basically in 2016, my first Reds Effects tutorial, which is basically my HitFilm Express series of tutorials, that's when I really started with the tutorials. So you could say basically 2016.
2016. And
yeah,
you know, it has had a bunch of changes of focus over the years. Tell me a little bit about that. How did it start? What did you start it as? And then how did it change over time?
Yeah, I have a problem with getting bored with things. So I start things and then I get bored and then I go back to it. So that's kind of my problem. But basically what back then, I started with HitFilm Express and I wanted basically tutorials for it, and there wasn't really a lot of them out there. So I started making my own tutorials for them and posting them, and that was Reds FX. And if you look at the show right now, it's basically hasn't changed too much. It's essentially me talking to the camera, then going to the tutorial, and then going away. But as time progressed, I wanted to do more of like more broad-based film topics. I wanted to do stuff on pre-production. I want to do stuff on production. I want to do stuff on sound, on cinematography. So then I started another series called Reds FX Action, and then I did another short-lived thing called Red Alert Film Academy, and that was old. So essentially, I've always shifted. Then I started doing video essays out of all things because I was really obsessed with that idea. So it kind of shifted over time. And now what I basically do is I've recently, I'm sure you know, recently only come back to doing tutorials because I took a break from it. So now what I do is the tutorials, but then I also do random filmmaking episodes, and then I also do like a video essay. So it's a whole bunch of things. It's a big mess, essentially.
Well, sometimes the big mess is the best way to go, right?
It's my reasoning.
That's my policy as well. Let me see who's here. We only have a couple of people who have actually put a comment in the chat room. The Insane Bolt is here. Thank you for being here. And also 4K Productions, and they're off. That's us. We're off. Off is the relative term. Off our rocker, off our, you know, whatever. I don't know. That's it. But thanks for being here, Terry. Put your name in the comment or make a comment. If you have a question for Uwais, please feel free to
definitely
fire away on that one. So let me ask you, what is your favorite movie? Well, first of all, are you a movie guy or a television show guy? What do you like better?
I love both. I always value the theater experience. It's like my favorite thing in the world to go to the theater, buy a fresh bucket of popcorn, and watch a movie. But I also really love my TV shows. I burn through them really quickly. Um, the recent one that I watched recently was what did I watch? What have I been watching? There's a show on Netflix with Paul Rudd. It's called Living with Yourself. I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it.
Mm-mm.
It's like an 8 episode, half an hour each series. It's actually pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea about like cloning and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I've finished watching that. But as far as movies go, I think that they're different. Like I think television is more of like when you go to like network TV shows. Excuse me, network TV shows. I feel is more like fast entertainment, where stuff like the Netflix shows I feel is more like a movie but expanded sort of. So a director could have like a vision and expand it over that. Like the Mandalorian, the new Star Wars show is also like that. It's like a vision like what there would be in a movie, but now just expanded. So I think television shows have become a lot more like movies as the years go by. Um, so in an extremely long way to answer your question, I like both.
You like both. All right. So what is your, wait a minute, before we do that, let me just say, Randallology is in the house. Hey guys, hey Randallology, it's good to have you,
Hey,
sir.
Randallology.
And
Typical
Dane
name to pronounce.
Anderson, that's the coolest name ever. Dane
Yeah.
Anderson, it's good to see you too, sir. I'm glad you're here. Design
Yep.
Desk from Ireland.
From
Sweet.
Ireland.
How
Ooh.
exciting. That's fantastic. I believe that Mike Miller is flying to Ireland as we speak.
Oh, interesting.
He's not going to be in here today to stream or watch the live stream live, but he did tell me to tell you hello. And let me see, just binged the season 4 of The Expanse. That's
Oh, is it any good?
I have not seen it. Is it good? I don't know.
Is it
That's a
good?
good
Yeah.
question. And this is not 4-H, although I was originally calling it 4-H. It's actually Ivan, IV.
Oh.
So, and the question is, why did you name your channel Red Alert?
I get this question a lot. Yeah, it's a good question because it's like a red alert. Where do you come up with that? Um, basically, when I started making these type of video, like basically when I started this channel, if you can believe it or not, they sort of the videos aren't really up anymore. But initially, what I wanted to do was have like a news channel and make videos about like the latest updates in the movie world and on TV shows and stuff like that. And I made some really cringy videos that I took down now. And I was thinking of names to name it and stuff. And I basically wanted something that just shouted out. And it was like, what do you do when there's an emergency or like, or there's like something like you need to know and like information. So a red alert popped into my head. I asked a friend of mine. He was like, "Yeah, that's a good name." So I named it. And then when the channel shifted, and this was back in 2014 essentially. But now 2016 came along, and I started making tutorials. I figured, hey, it's a unique name. Might as well keep it. So slap the
Sorry about
exclamation
that.
mark
My
there.
phone is
Did that.
letting me know that my live stream has started. I forgot to turn it off. Thank you, R2. Appreciate that. I thought maybe you named it after. There used to be a video game called Red Alert, and PC game. So I thought maybe that's where it came from. But no,
no.
it was originally going to be a news flash. Here it is.
yeah, essentially me just talking about TV shows.
Well, there you go. That makes sense. Snipe Lem Films is in the house. Good morning. Good evening. It is morning where I'm at. I still have my cup of coffee going.
It's moving to evening over here.
It is
around 5 p.m.
evening in your neck of the woods. So do we say? So Randallology, well, ask him your main question. Oh, hang on. I'll get there. I'm going to get there. I know. He doesn't know. He knows what the main question is. This is it. We get to the end. We do this at the end, though. This is it. Let me see. Looking forward to having Mike Miller here on the Emerald Isle. You bet. Like I said, he is flying into Dublin right now as we speak. And he told me to tell Uwais that he said hello and that he was sorry he was going to miss the live stream.
Yeah, sad to miss him, dude.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, look, and we have Dafter Things, afternoon all. Dafter Things is Tony from England, and he does the Lego film, brick film stuff. If you know any of those are so much fun. They're great. He has a question.
Yeah, really fun.
What is the best effect you have seen and wanted to replicate in 2019?
It's funny because 2019 is the year I essentially made the least amount of tutorials.
Hmm.
So I didn't really stick my finger in that pond quite a bit. But
But you did make a really cool short film this year.
yes, that was my main sort of thing that I was looking. I actually made right at the start of this year, and only released it towards like the middle of the year.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It was really
yeah.
cool too. I loved it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
As for an effect, the best effect I've seen this year, I'm trying to think what movies like the best effects are in superhero movies and stuff like that. I can't think of what movies came out this year. I know Avengers came out.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Endgame.
what else?
I'll tell you what
Endgame.
mine is.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
why don't
is
you do
in The
that?
Mandalorian. I don't know if you've seen it in The Mandalorian, but he has this disintegration rifle gun. I mean, this thing is
Yeah.
bad, man.
Oh, I've
It's
seen that.
huge.
Yes.
And he goes, and it like, they, they
Yeah.
they disappear in a shower of particles, sparks,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
and all that's left is their clothes, right? Right. And so I made a fairly quick, like, concept video, where I stood there, and then I took my jacket off and I threw it in the air, and it came out pretty good,
Yeah,
and
I
then I
saw that
added
one.
the
Yeah.
showers and sparks. It wasn't bad, but I
No,
wanted to
definitely not.
refine it before I did, tried to make a tutorial on it, kind of a thing. But that was my favorite. I was like, man, that's a cool shot. That's just really cool. So
Yeah, I saw a lot of disintegration types of videos, especially around the time Infinity War came out, because people were doing that fading away dust thing.
yeah,
Um,
and I did one
yeah, yeah,
last
it's
year.
like
That
I
was last
think
year though.
yeah, that was last year, yeah.
Hmm.
And I think I've seen a lot of like really not that great ones. Like I know your one, Production Crates one, and
Yeah,
Film Learning's one from Grant over there.
Grant.
Those
Yeah.
three were the ones
Hmm.
that stuck out to me as being like the ones that look the best. Because they're also like all different. Like Production Crate one is like a little bit different to his one, and they both in After Effects. And then your one obviously is in HitFilm.
Yep.
So I think those are the best. But I've seen a lot of like cheap looking ones. So it's very, but it's very quite a difficult effect to pull off in my opinion, or one of the little
It
bit more complex ones.
it is, and I actually played with the film one, production crate one. Let me see. I'll bet I could find it because I actually played with it. Let me see. Do I have it here? Where is it? There's that one. Ooh, maybe not. I must have moved it somewhere else. It must be in my secondary because I decided not to use it. Dang, I was hoping I could find it. I would show it to you, but production
Yeah,
crate one is really a good one.
yeah,
It's really a
definitely.
good one. How about this question from Randallology? How long did it take you to feel comfortable using HitFilm?
Um, the thing when I started watching tutorials, I initially started watching Grant's videos and Film Riot's videos. So because they had really fun sketches, so I initially actually just watched the sketch part of it, like the comedy aspect, and then skip out the After Effects section. But when I started to watch the After Effects parts and started to sort of learn what that is, when I got into HitFilm, it essentially works the same way. If you understand After Effects, you'll understand HitFilm and vice versa. So because I've been watching so many videos on it on After Effects. When I jumped into HitFilm Express, I think it was HitFilm 4 Express back then. I was pretty much comfortable already with how it operated, but using it, it took a while. Like I did a lightsaber effect first; it looked really janky, really bad. It was looked like a piece of cardboard. That's the way it looked. It was horrible. But and it was like all square. And it moved. It was horrible, but I'll never show that to anybody. But basically I got more used to it as time went along. I did the cloning effect. You do the basic ones that everyone does, and like about a month or so, because I'd already known. If you go into it fresh, like you don't know anything, then definitely check out Jay's course over at Udemy.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, not that long, especially if you know how VFX software or layer compositing works.
Yeah, I was going to say that when I am feeling comfortable, I'll let you know, kind of a thing. But right now, I still have more to learn.
Everyone's
So
got more to learn, definitely.
thanks for the question. How about what is your favorite effect to do in HitFilm? That's for Red Alert. I'm not allowed to answer, I guess.
Oh, how about you take it first? Then I'll.
Oh, thanks a lot. The particle sim is my favorite thing to play with.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
the
The
particles.
Parallel Simulator scares me.
However, I have a tendency to use parallax like all the time for everything I do.
Oh, really?
It seems. It seems. If I go back through my tutorials, it's like And we had the parallax effect again. And we have threshold, because I always use threshold. What do you use? What's your favorite effect?
I'm gonna open up HitFilm just so I can check it out, so I don't miss say something. But in the meanwhile, I actually want to get back to the previous question about the best effect you wanted to see in Replicate, and I have seen like I'm kind of I can't think of anything else. So I'm kind of stealing your answer here because in the Mandalorian, if you've seen the laser blaster effects they have in there, it's also when I was watching, I went frame by frame throughout it and tried to seek and maybe thinking about doing a sort of to redo my laser blaster episode that I did tutorial, because that one looks a bit it's like very old looking, and the laser blaster moves quite the beam moves quite slow. But the one that I've seen in the Mandalorian, it's not the best effect I've seen this year, but it definitely looks cool because the beam only lasts for around like 2 frames. And the first frame is the beam and a muzzle flash, and the glow effects are really cool because it's really blown out and it's red. And then the next frame is the beam almost off the screen, and the final frame it's gone. And they have really cool lighting effects as well. And I'm pretty sure they're using practical lights on set to replicate those. So maybe that one.
I'm sure of it, because I'm delighted to hear I'm not the only person who is literally going frame by frame through the Mandalorian.
No, definitely. It's me. I'm finding clips on like YouTube and stuff, and like trying to check out.
Yeah, and I have, I have Disney Plus, so I can bring it up on my PC and frame by frame it, from the original source, and it's really cool. And the effects are really, really impressive. I mean, they are, Star Wars movie quality effects in this show. Definitely. And the storyline is wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's fantastic.
It's basically
I like how every episode is
Star Wars,
It's like every episode is sort of like a new adventure, and I find it pretty cool. It's like a lot of New Hope vibes, which I like.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think about have you seen the Humble Bundle?
No, I actually haven't.
So Humble Bundle has HitFilm Pro, Action Pro, and a bunch of other stuff. Some stuff from Triune, from Action VFX, etc. All bundled for $30.
I want to check this out.
$1,500 worth of stuff. It is an amazingly incredible deal, and I think it's all the money goes to charity, which is really a nice thing as well.
How have I not heard about this?
I don't know, but let me tell you, it's a big topic in the HitFilm community. There are a lot of people who are very upset about it because they just bought a lot of the stuff in the after Thanksgiving Day sale, and then 15 days or 16 days after that, then here comes this deal. Well, so people are like, well, can I get a refund on this? And no, because it's past the 15-day mark, kind of a thing. So some people are very upset, but I re-upped my, I have a new year's worth of updates from HitFilm, and I decided to keep that to support the company instead of asking for a refund and going, because I bought mine late in the game because I was on vacation. I was on a cruise, and so I was out. I was totally out of touch. So, but it is a really, really good deal. They have Film Stros in there, and I mean all kinds of stuff. So, it's pretty good. And
have you used Film Stro?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Film Stro is really, really something awesome. That kind of stuff. So, let me see. Hold on. Let me look at my list here. All right. Oh, okay. So now here's what I want to do with you.
All right.
I'm scared. Do podcasts, right?
Okay. Oh no.
And in your podcast, you ask people.
Don't ask me questions. Oh, God.
No, wait a minute. This is going to be, I'm going to make it easy for you. Okay. What I did was I went through all of your podcasts. I watched all of your podcasts. I wrote down every question that you asked. I picked random 15 questions of your own questions. Of your own questions. How can you go wrong?
Of course. How can you go wrong?
Now you ask. It ends up you ask over a minute time. I'm not going to time this, but over a minute, you've averaged either 8 or 10 questions.
We've really broken this down.
Yeah, 8 to 10 questions. Actually, it's the first person you went with. You asked 10 questions to, And everybody
Yes.
else has answered exactly 8 questions. You probably didn't even know that.
No, I didn't know. It's based on the time, yeah.
But I picked out 15 questions out of,
50. Lovely.
and they're on random questions. Okay, I just randomly picked them out of the ones that you've asked, and I'm going to ask them. Okay.
All right, let's go.
Great. Are you ready?
No.
What do you normally do? Bong. There's a big sound.
Yeah, I did the whole
effect.
time one.
Right? One of the things StreamYard is talking about doing is adding a soundboard. Wouldn't that be cool?
No, yes,
So you could add chung,
Definitely.
chung, chung. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Then I could, you know, when you're right, you know, that kind of stuff. All right, are you ready? I'm going to go right down my randomly generated list. Here we go.
Okay.
Who played Billy Costigan in Scorsese's The Departed? Okay.
Wait. I can do this.
You can't look it up on the internet.
I'm okay. It's mine. It's either Mark. No. Matt. No. Leonardo. No. Matt. No. Okay, it's either Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay, well, you got to pick one.
Damn. Why? This is so long ago. That was like one of my first questions.
Well, sorry.
Okay, I'll Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes, that's correct. All right, who plays Mr. Hinks Inspector?
Oh, Dave Bautista.
What are they trying to steal in the movie Ronin?
The briefcase.
Right.
Okay.
John Matrix is the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in which film?
Commando.
Who composed the music for The Lion King?
Hans Zimmer.
What famous order does Jack Nicholson give in A Few Good Men?
Code Red.
Very good. Who directed Invictus?
Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
I love Invictus.
The first Fast and Furious movie was released in what year?
Oh, this is difficult. 2002, 2004, 2002. No.
Wrong. 2001.
1 year off.
The line, "Tonight We Dine in Hell" comes from which film?
300.
Right. Who composed the music for The Avengers?
Alan Silvestri.
Very good. Home Alone, Back to the Future 3, and Die Hard 2 were all released in what year?
Home Alone 3 and
Home Alone, Back to the
Alone,
Future 3,
Back to the Future 3,
and Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2. 19. I'm gonna get this wrong. 19. Is it okay? Give me. Is it 1980 something?
No.
1990 something?
Yes.
96.
1990. What is the name of the Bond girl in Casino Royale?
Vespa.
Right.
Vespa Lind, yeah.
Vesper Lind. Who directed the classic film The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
No, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Why am I thinking Ennio Morricone? That's the music, the director. No. I can't do this. It's live. I can't do this. Damn, I forget the name. What is it?
Sergio Leone. Name the villainous Karate Dojo in The Karate Kid.
Cobra Kai. I've embarrassed myself. It's over. I'm gonna shut down the channel now.
Right,
finished. It's gone.
Which city is the famous Sylvester Stallone film Rocky set in?
Philadelphia.
Very good. So you missed 3 minus 3 out of 15.
Horrible.
Dumb. You only got 80%. 80% of your own questions.
I'd be at the bottom of my own leaderboard.
Oh my goodness. 80%. Missed 3. Oh man. How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
You want to talk about movies and you can't even answer your own questions?
I know. I'm wondering where you get the questions from. Do you make them up, or do you have a list from somewhere that you?
I actually make them up.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I thought maybe you found a movie trivia site and you just stole the questions. See, I'm lazy.
That would be the easy thing, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to start doing that. But these questions, I'm actually watching things and I get an idea and write them down.
I see. Well, see, then you've actually seen it. You know it.
Exactly. The problem is I try to make them difficult to the point where I don't realize I'm going to be quizzed on my own questions. So now when you do quiz me, I've made them so difficult
Now you know. Now you know. Well, and you repeated a couple of questions also, I noticed.
Yeah.
Because either it wasn't answered or it wasn't answered correctly, is what I
Yes.
noticed.
Yes.
You know, if there was a correct answer, then you didn't. You didn't.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So, let me see. Dafter Things, do you have a link? Better. It's his Dafter Themes channel, right? Are you talking about the Humble Bundle? Yeah. I would just Google it, right? You'll be able to find it pretty quickly. Right here, Humble Bundle filmmaking. So I would have got minus 15. He said.
I feel you.
And I blurted out Sierra Leone.
That's a place.
That might be even worse than not knowing Sergio Leone at all.
If you look at the leaderboard, I have it here on my computer. If I go here, alert the podcast, the leaderboard on this on the most recent episodes. The last episode I did was with Action VFX. So
Right.
the leaderboard on this
Brody
episode,
Pollux.
yeah, with them.
Mhm.
So I had Luke and Rodolphe on, and he actually scored really well. Like if you look at the leaderboard, I basically have Grant is at the top of the list. So I only
Grant
asked.
was the best. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why he had 10. He had 10
Yeah.
questions that he was able to answer, and bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, because most
and then
people
everybody else was
stall.
like, "Oh, pass," you know.
Yeah, or they
And the other
stall and
ones
they
were
think
all
too
8.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rodolphe actually got second best. He got 4, and then Josh Davies, CEO of HitFilm, one of my best episodes I've ever had. Like I was so excited to do that. I went back and watched it the other day, and you could see how excited I was. As I'm like, well, I'm so excited to have you here. Like sort of fangirling over that. He got 3, Cheveur got 2, and Aiden Robbins got 1.
He got 1. He was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Farrah Films is here. Hi, Farrah. Good to have you, sir.
Hey, dude. I was on his podcast. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes,
really
you
cool
were,
guy.
and I was on his podcast. He
we were all on his
interviewed both of
podcast.
us. Yeah. And I don't know, who do you think has more on his thing? What do you think? Who has more views, me or you? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Probably you.
Well,
I'm gonna say
I don't know. I'm gonna find out though. I'm gonna look right now before I say that. Let me see.
Like you were
31 views and I have 55 views. Yes.
Yeah, I see. I feel like you were more of an entertaining guest. I would say.
You think so, huh?
Definitely.
I don't know. I think you've been entertaining so far. All right. Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
The question.
Hit me with the question.
There it is.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Which is better? Now, wait a minute. I don't want to sway your opinion on this or anything.
Oh, going to sway my opinion.
Don't sway
on the don't want to sway my opinion.
No.
I've got a Ray up there. I've got a BB-8 up there.
When I had my full roundtable, I literally threatened to kick people out if they didn't answer correctly.
I think the look on my face when I hold the lightsaber toy is enough to say I'm a Star Wars.
I'm definitely a Star Wars. You get to stay. That's it. You get to hang out. There it is. Star Wars or Star Trek.
I was actually going to point to that question because we didn't answer it, but
yes, I know that was the question. Hey, look, and Courtney is in the house. Good to have you, Mermaid Clover. And we have a vote for Star Wars. It started because somebody in the channel actually asked, or somebody in the chat room asked, in one of my earliest podcasts. And then we got into this huge debate. So then I asked people to post in the chat room, and people were posting in the chat room. And then I had one person, and that was, I'm not going to mention any names, but his initials are Bill Thomas. Oh, sorry, did I say his name out loud? So Bill is in the chat room under his drone, the Coast to Coast Drones YouTube channel, and he voted for Star Trek. Then a couple of maybe 30 seconds later, all of a sudden another vote for Star Trek came in from Drone Therapy. Well, that's his other channel. He logged out and logged in. He could vote twice.
Cheeky.
I said, dude, you can't do that unless you're voting for Star Wars. In which case, that's okay.
Of course, definitely.
That's cheating. So here's a good question. And for those of you watching this after the fact, we are just days away from the release of Rise of Skywalker. I have my tickets. I am ready. I'm going to see it on Thursday, which is only 3 days from now.
Oh, I'm only seeing it on Saturday.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you?
You know, initially I wasn't that excited. Okay, let me ask a controversial question here. The internet's been blowing up recently. Yeah. I'm sure you know what I'm going to ask. What do you think about The Last Jedi? Because
I was going to ask you, because I know what you think. So what I want to ask you is that give me your 30-second pitch on why Return of the Jedi is a great movie.
Oh, The Last Jedi, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, The Last Jedi. I'm sorry. Last Jedi is a great movie.
The reason I think this, and that a lot of, and I will boldly say everyone else is wrong. Okay. Okay, well, you're not wrong. But I would say it's because first of all, it's original. Second of all, it does things that's quite similar in call back to the original trilogy, but it also does a lot of new things. Like, I love the way they use the Force in that movie, the visual representation of the dark side, I'm not gonna be I'll admit that there are some aspects I didn't like. I didn't like the whole Canto Bight casino scenes. I didn't like that, but they are essential for the movie. But I rewatched it yesterday, actually, and I definitely can still say that there are ideas in that movie that can be really expanded on and really thought about compared to something like The Force Awakens. Even though I love The Force Awakens, it still is pretty much a carbon copy of A New Hope, whereas The Last Jedi is completely different. That's why I don't necessarily understand why people don't like it so much, because people generally complain that The Force Awakens is too similar, and then they complain The Last Jedi is too different. So, I don't know. I could be wrong.
That's a good pitch. And I am on the other camp. I really was not fond of The Last Jedi.
But so what did you find? What did you find that you didn't like about it?
You know, when you go to the movies, there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief that you have to have, right? You know, I mean,
especially with a Star Wars movie,
especially a Star Wars movie, because it's all make believe. And there are certain movie tropes that are like plot devices that you absolutely need to have to tell your story. And sometimes you have to kind of look past some of those things. And I'll give you a really good example. I mean, in Star Wars: A New Hope, here's the Death Star, and they're coming around the planet of Yavin to attack the moon. Why don't they just blow up the planet of Yavin? I mean, that would take care of everything, But, that's, you got to look past that.
Yeah.
And you can sort of make an argument that Grand Moff Tarkin is, hey, he's so arrogant and he's so confident, evacuation in our time of triumph? I think not. I think you overestimate their chances. I mean, he really felt that there was absolutely no possible way that they could do anything about it. And he wanted to make them suffer, as they slowly came around,
Yeah.
So you could argue that, right? But there's a great film called Stagecoach, 1939. It's a John Ford film. It's sort of like the very, very first airplane disaster movie, right? Except it's in the Old West on a stagecoach. And so you had this very eclectic and unique group of people on a stagecoach that are going through Indian territory, and they're attacked. And, now they're fighting for their lives, even though they're completely different people. They all have different background stories, and there it is, And so, somebody asked John Ford, a reporter asked John Ford, why didn't the Indians just shoot the horses? Because the horses are carrying the stagecoach. And he's like, because it would have been a really short movie,
Exactly. Exactly.
We can't have that happen. Otherwise, the movie ends.
What's the point?
What's the point? And so you have to do that. But my gosh, there's this sort of a slow chase that happens through space. And I'm like, don't they have the greatest, most advanced fleet ever? Can't they just go, whoosh, now we're on the other side? You would think that they could do that. And so I just couldn't get past that. And I know I should get past that because, man, I love the characters. I loved, a lot of the story of it. But I was having so many problems with the military tactics, And then it's like, well, the general has a whole plan. she's just not going to tell anybody until the end of the movie. Why
True.
wouldn't you do that? I mean, why wouldn't you tell them what you're planning? You clearly had a plan. So, that's my problem. Listen, I understand that the director had a vision. And I also understand that we haven't seen everything yet. In other words, who knows? I may come back, after seeing Rise of Skywalker and say, oh, The Last Jedi was perfect because it set that up. Maybe Luke Skywalker's arc is going to be different. I personally didn't like it, but it was the director's choice. Good for him. He made a choice, and that was his vision. Maybe that's part of, I remember, listen, you were too young to remember this, but I saw Star Wars in the theater, okay, when it came out in 1977. In 1980, when Empire Strikes Back came out, most people say today Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars film ever made.
Wasn't like that back then.
Well, guess what? The critics savaged it. They hated it. Everybody
Too
hated
dark.
it. He ruined Star Wars. I can't believe he took such a great thing and wrecked it, and then when they saw Return of the Jedi, they went, oh my gosh, it was brilliant. It was fantastic, but because they didn't have the whole story, so I am holding total final judgment until I get the third.
But you see, that's my fear when it comes to that, because back then, I don't like to jump on the whole hate on Disney bandwagon, because
neither do I.
Yeah, but back then it was George's vision basically. So he did the first one, he did the second one, he did the third one. But now, where it's more of a focus on budgets and making your money back and grossing the box office, I would think, like, you can't tell. I won't believe anybody who tells me that it was in the plan to bring the Emperor back. I firmly believe that JJ set up the whole thing to be Darth Plagueis is Snoke, something like that. And then I feel like Rian Johnson came along, killed Snoke, did all. Oh, spoiler alert! But if you haven't seen it, so
hopefully you've seen it by now.
Yeah, I feel like Rian Johnson came along, and Disney was bold enough to trust him to basically do his own thing. So he killed that, did this, did whatever, did all these things. And now, because of the backlash, or actually, it's quite split. People love it or people hate it. And I feel like for a big conglomerate like Disney, they want people to uniformly love it, so they make the most money. Now they're bringing back the Emperor. Now they're going back to basics. Now they're going to I feel like they're not going to fully realize that vision. And while they may not walk back a lot of the things that Rian Johnson did, they might not see it through. So I could be wrong. I haven't seen the movie yet. We could come back after this and be like, okay, maybe they didn't. But I feel like The Rise of Skywalker is going to be a lot more of it's going to be a safer movie that more audiences will love than hate. And I wouldn't be surprised if they say Obi-Wan is Rey's father or something like that, or give full fan service, because at this point, Star Wars fans are like the ones who demand the most, and they want what they want. Like people who had such an idea of Luke, like you mentioned, you didn't like Luke's arc. Like myself, I had a big, she's gonna go there, Luke's in a trainer, they're gonna fight together with lightsabers, it's gonna be so cool. And then he tosses the lightsaber away. He's depressed for the whole movie, and you're like, what? But then a really cool thing I saw is that you have to understand that it's the director's story. He was given the privilege of directing it, so it's his story. Your own story, it's just that it's yours, it's in your head. And that's the thing I find a lot of people struggle to understand with Star Wars, especially because they grew up watching it. I mean, I have a Return of the Jedi poster on my wall because that was the first one I saw when I was like 2.
Nice.
So it's just, there's a quote that basically sums up. People say, no one hates Star Wars films more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah. Well, there is that. I would agree with you, except that, they had to see all the dailies. They had to know what, Rian Johnson was doing, and yet they kept letting him do it. If they didn't really want him to do it, they would have said no. And they did that with Solo.
Yeah.
They did that. It's proven, so I think that they have a plan. And I do think that the plan has probably changed. I'm not saying, because you always will tweak your plan a little bit as you go along.
Yeah.
But I think that they had an idea, and I think that they're essentially going to follow through with that idea. And I do believe that the second episode is the one that is always most controversial because of that. Because people don't have the full story yet.
But I feel like don't you think maybe they were they initially saw all the backlash The Force Awakens got, and was like, it's too similar. People were shouting that out, it's too similar to A New Hope, whatever. And now, because Rian Johnson was doing such a drastically different story, instead of reining him back, they decided to let loose. So maybe they were okay with it.
I don't know.
And now, when the audience back, like they're like, okay, we can't win with these people because now they don't want the old thing, they don't want a new thing. Let's get JJ back and please save us again.
Well,
But
I
you never know.
remember when the Phantom Menace came out. Everybody loved it, by the way, when it first came
Yeah.
out. And then it wasn't until, you know, Attack of the Clones came out that everybody all of a sudden hated the Phantom Menace. But George Lucas said, hey, you know, they're hating it all the way to the bank. You know, I mean, we're still making billions, you know, and you could complain all you want about, you know, the Force Awakens, but it's the biggest grossing movie of all time, you know, and so it's hard to argue that people hated it, you know, when they spent that much money to go see it over and over and over.
Exactly.
You know,
you do make a good point. Yeah.
So at any rate, that's my big question is Star Wars or Star Trek, and there you go. And I do want to point out we have somebody from France here.
Hello.
And I have no idea how to pronounce it. Lolo Lemano, maybe. My French is terrible. Sorry. I don't know any French, basically. That's the reason. So, well, I know it's hard to believe, but we've gone on for 40 minutes now instead of
like 10.
I know, like or 30. So I'm afraid that we will have to wrap it up here. But I do want to say that I really appreciate you being here with us.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe we'll find a time to do it again sometime.
Definitely. I was just about to say I'd love to be on again. It's super fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Oh, before we go, I do want to say my next Live with Sensei will be on Saturday, December 28th at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is my normal Saturday time. It's also 9 p.m. in the Netherlands. December 28th, Saturday, 9 p.m. in the Netherlands. And my special guest will be the amazing and awesome and one and only Jamie Super Q from Film Empire. Jamie is a very, very good friend of mine. I've been in his short films and things like that. And he and I have been friends for a long time. And he will be my one and only special guest for the very last live stream of this year, 2019. And then we'll have we'll continue on in the new year with some new guests after that. So again, I would like to say thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll look forward to maybe having you on again. And thanks to everybody who was watching. We really appreciate you being here, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.